Hello everyone, this is the NewBeeDrone HummingBird 3.1. You may be familiar with the HummingBird 3.1 RS edition. So this is our race spec and this is more of our general flyer, which there are a number of differences as you can visually tell, but there's only really a few minor differences as far as the hardware. The all-in-one flight controller has the same 25 milliwatt VTX and the same Blue Jay software at 48 kilohertz, but it has motor connectors for easier motor swapping. It also features the felt pad on the bottom, which is now cut out around the screws, and Betaflight 4.5. At least at this time, it's Betaflight 4.5. The connector off the end is the PH20 that is gold plated. The motors are 0802. And again, we don't have a KV printed directly on the motor, but the KV is 25,000 KV. But the specs say these are supposed to be 0702s. Continues to use the BI camera as well as a Goober canopy that they've been using on their whoops for a long time. Camera connector down in there is unusually small, specific to the BI camera. And it does come with a VTX with a micro UFL. It weighs 21.35 grams, which is just a little less than they print on their website. Of course, because it's got PH20 connectors, I had to use these nitro nectar batteries, which the batteries are good. The connectors I'm not a fan of. These connectors, we know, are weak spots when it comes to our performance, especially in longevity and efficiency of flight. It does come with an extra set of props, which I'm a little surprised they didn't throw in the prop remover like they did for the race spec, and a quick start guide just like they did with the race spec. We're gonna start with the inside flight because that's the only flight we're gonna see in this particular video. It looks like I missed my window for at least a reasonable wind outside in the short run to fly this thing. The day I flew the RS version, sorry, I know, got off to a really hot start there. That was super wobbly. I'll get things under control here in a second, sorry. But the day I flew the race spec version outside was a great day for flying whoops, and that one's super light. This one weighs another 4 grams or so more, and I didn't have any batteries charged for it in the moment. So by the time I got batteries charged, it was later in the day. I'd missed my flight window, and then the next thing you know, I'm 3 days later, and I still haven't gotten another low wind day. It's been super windy from that point forward. I'm seeing winds at least of 15 miles an hour, which even with the protection of the backyard, you do see those winds breaking through and pushing you around. Makes for an awful sloppy flight. I wouldn't want to misrepresent how this thing flies just because I'm trying to fight wind. Sometimes people can possibly watch videos and have the sound off, or just be skipping around and might miss some particular detail of the video. So I'm trying to be cautious there. This is certainly not going to be one of the light, high-performance whoops at 21.5 grams, but it is better than what we've seen in the past from NewBeeDrone. I'm a little surprised they're positioning this as a general flyer because of the 25 milliwatt VTX, because pretty much all the other whoops go up to at least 200, if not 400 milliwatts, so that means you get better signal. You do need analog goggles to fly any of these whoops. Generally speaking, anything it's a traditional whoop, you'll need analog goggles. Sometimes I get questions about using Wi-Fi. No, that's a different grade of product, and it's just not compatible. So you do need to have analog goggles. Again, I have a linked video down in the video description about my rates as well as about my video setup, so how I get the image, and a little bit of a discussion about both of those items down in the video description. I'm mentioning that more because I'm getting that question with a similar frequency as before when I used to post that in the video description. So people are missing that, so I'm going to call that out a little bit more so they can get their answers right away instead of waiting for me to respond to their comment about either one of those topics. The PH20 is going to be, as I said, a performance barrier. So especially long-term, initially it might not be terrible. If you fly slower, this flight's going to be 240, 242. If you fly slower than I do, you're probably going to get 3 minutes on good, fresh PH20 batteries. But as they age and as you put more cycles and connections on the PH20, it's going to break down and your flight times will come down. So that's something to be aware of. But let's go back to the desk and finish up the review. So these are the two current whoop offerings from NewBeeDrone. And unless, well, if their spec sheet that they sent me about this product is wrong, or the motors I've gotten on here are wrong, that disappoints me. But there's nothing I can do about that here in the moment, because obviously if the motors are supposed to be 0702s, but these are running 0802s, that fundamentally changes how it performs. It changes the flight time. It changes the weight. So hopefully the spec sheet It says 0702 25,000 kV is wrong, and hopefully I'm reporting that 0802 25,000 kV is right. Hopefully. The weight comes out to about where they predicted on the spec sheet, but hopefully that's the only thing that's wrong on the spec sheet. But that's on them, I guess, if they don't have a listed product and they send you a sheet on specs and it doesn't turn out to be true. We'll see. One way or another, we're going to find out the truth one way or another. If you do want to see an outside flight with this, I'm more than happy to show you one as soon as I can get some wind under, say, 10 miles an hour to where it's reasonable that I could fly something that, you know, all up weight is 30 grams outside. Because with this size of duct and this weight and 1S and 31 millimeter props, those winds above, say, 12 miles an hour, they start to break through all the wind protection of the backyard, and then it definitely pushes you around and changes things fundamentally. I've done that before in desperation. So these are their two current offerings. Quite personally, you know, this is the one you would probably go for if you're worried about excessive crashing. Of course, you're limited on camera angle because this has a single camera angle that it's locked at, which is relatively low. It does have LEDs on the board that kind of flash, and you can see them coming off the prop protection. I presume that this prop protection would last longer than this prop protection in most people's cases, but I can't be definitive. Oh, I got a hair right here, the end of the prop. I'll have to pull that out here in a second. But when it comes to weight and speed and all those things, this hopefully stands up better. But both of these offerings do come from NewBeeDrone, and they are a US-based company. That may be appealing for some people, and it might be one of the few whoops that are available, because I'm told that pretty much at least everywhere in the US, the Mobula 6 2024 edition and the Air 65 are out of stock everywhere, so that you have to order internationally. If you're wanting to order for some sort of short run or a near-term whoop race, you may be limited if you can get your hands on one of these. Now, overall, when I'm thinking about general flight, I think the Air 65 is still the one that I would go for, but I can understand why specifically someone in the US would want to go for the HummingBird 3.1. And when it comes to racing, I can definitely see why, you know, our racers would want to go with the lightest whoop on the market, because there's a few things they could do to make this even lighter that I already mentioned in that video. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a card right up here, as well as a link in the video description. This video should have launched with this video, or close to this video, maybe the same day or later on in the day, or even maybe the next day. We'll see how it goes. But this is the lightest whoop out there, so if you're a whoop racer, you want that. But these have much more powerful VTXs. So when it comes to being able to fly in a lot of different places and still get a nice clear image from your camera in more places, these would be the way to go. And they're also very, very light, much more lighter than this. So that's kind of what I think about this four current offerings. I can see where people might want to go different ways. Those are generalities that I'm giving you there. But if you do have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, really about any of these quads, but specifically these two, which I'm kind of covering in this video, please let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.